Hello and welcome to Papicock Podcast with your host, Victor Pacheco. I'm here today with a very special guest for today's episode. You've seen him on the original Latin Kings of Comedy. You've seen him on Latin Palooza. You've seen him on Que Locos. And you've seen him in 50 plus television and film projects. I want you to give it up for the very funny Joey Medina. What's up, brother? Thank you so much for being here today.
Good, buddy. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. I'm so stoked because I've known you for years, but I just met you 2 months ago. And so it feels like I've known you like my whole life, like I've grown up with you. So this is a really cool event to be sharing with you. So I really do appreciate you being here on my podcast. So that's awesome. Welcome to Papicock Podcast. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Just watching the Johnny Depp trial. And
oh my God, is she doing some horrible acting, or is she doing some horrible acting?
Well, when she was on the stand, that was horrible acting. I mean, as a director, that was really bad acting.
Like less is more, right? In this case, like she just say less, or not, or maybe not even testify. It might do her some good. I don't know. It's just a lot of I can't believe that's actually on the news. It's like getting like OJ Simpson trial status. Like, oh my God, this is what's going to decide the next cultural phenomenon here in our society. But yeah, I was just wondering, with the original Latin Kings of Comedy, how did you find out that you were going to be on the original Latin Kings of Comedy, and how did you feel?
Well, originally, we knew we were shooting it, but we weren't guaranteed to be on it. There were actually two other people that were also that shot it, and they didn't get on. But we just, I had my fingers crossed, and luckily, when everything was done, I knew, I had two really good sets, and I felt real confident. And then I found out, that's it. I was in it, and it was great. I knew that'll change my life. I knew, I'm like, okay, this is a big thing, and I need to rise to the occasion now.
Oh, absolutely. So I asked you on a different podcast how it changed your life, and you got more bookings, and you got higher paid bookings. And I'm looking at your biography. You've traveled the world too, Asia, Australia, Europe. That's really, really awesome. I think that's just phenomenal that you could go to all these places. Like I saw that you were like at a resort in Mexico. I think it was Cabo, possibly. I think I forgot which it was.
Cabo, also Costa Rica. So yeah. So I literally have traveled around the globe, man. I've been to Germany. I've been to Indonesia. I've been to Thailand, Vietnam, a bunch of places. And to think I've been to all these places because of comedy is sometimes it's surreal. You're like, really? You can do that? And it's feels good.
And you perform for the troops overseas during war times, not just when the military is on reserve, when they're actually in combat. You did several tours in Iraq. Can you explain how that was as a comedic experience? And how, because that is a vacation, going to Iraq. I know you're doing a good service for your fellow countrymen and for the military. I know they don't like to be called the troops, so I'm trying to be respectful. So how does playing or performing for military overseas differ from a comedy club or any other type of show?
It's a real, first of all, it's a real honor. When I take a group of comics with me to do military gigs, I always tell them this is going to be the hardest and the best gig you've ever had. I've been to Iraq 3 times. The first time was literally right at the end of the war, so everything was still in shambles. We stayed in tents. We the food had to be brought in. Oh
my God,
it was really it felt dark, and but the troops loved it. Those kids, I want to call them kids because that's what they are. They they signed up for something, and now they go to another part of the world they've never been to. They're away from their family, from their parents, from their children, from their wives and boyfriends and girlfriends, and they don't have anything, man, you know. And for me to think that, or for me to feel that, man, I'm there, and for that 1 hour I'm doing a show for them, they're somewhere else. They're not where they are anymore. It feels really, really good. And I know this because I've gotten emails from wives and from mothers saying, my son, you made my son's week. You know, he feels so much better now. He's in better mood and this and that. And I dig it. And I, you know, I have so much respect for the military because of the sacrifices they do. And a lot of people don't know that, man. You know, the stuff that they go through over there, and the things that they have to experience are horrible. I was talking to this kid, must have been 18, 19 years old, and he's telling me how, you know, like how he shot someone, and all he does is he can't sleep at night. He just keeps imagining it over and over and over in his head. And it's pretty heavy, man, you know. And if I could just make them laugh, and the thing is, I don't only entertain them, you know, when I'm doing my show, because we're usually stuck on a base with them, and especially like in Iraq, it's a smaller base. It's not, and I'm entertaining them everywhere I walk. You know, when we go eat with them, when we hang out with them at you know, the rec hall or whatever, I'm making them laugh. I mean, I entertain them 24/7. The second I'm out there with them, I'm entertaining them, not just on stage. And the guys I bring, the girls and guys I bring with me, I tell them the same thing. I'm like, we're on the clock, man. We're on the clock. We got to make these cats have a good time, you know, have fun with them, play with them, and just make them forget, you know, where they are, and try to make them think they're back home.
That's awesome. That really makes me happy too, because like it's just contagious, just the happiness. Because when you were mentioning that you were getting emails, I thought you're telling me it was from the actual people that you the people you perform for, but it's the wives and the moms, and it's just that's super cool. That's just like, hey, this is how funny the comedian was that you're hearing back from the significant other, the mom. That's so cool. I love that stuff. Or I don't know, like for me, I'm obviously not at your level, but when people come up to you like, man, my mom just died, and I've been thinking about killing myself, and I don't feel that anymore, man. Thanks a lot, dude. And I'm like, oh my God. I was just telling
Yeah.
dick jokes right now. I had no idea that they would have this type of
No,
impact.
but laughter is healing, man. You know, I mean, it's not, you know, I don't know if it's the best medicine. Sometimes you need chemo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But but that's not even my joke. That's somebody else's joke. That's Drew Mark's joke. But it's true. But it just, it makes you feel good, man. You laugh, and whether it's a movie, whether it's a comedian, whether it's just watching someone trip down a flight of steps, laughter makes you feel, you know, laughter makes you feel good. And laughter makes you feel good. And it's you know, it's kind of and I think it's one of the reasons why comics do it. You know, comics and musicians are the only people that go to work on their days off, and the only people that go to work for free. You know, it's like we'll go to a room, we'll go to a comedy club, and we're like, you know, they ask, hey, you want to go up? We're like, okay, you know, and we go on their day off just to hang out. But it feels good to go up on that stage, because we get something out of it as well. When it's a great show, it's there's nothing better. You know, I did 4 shows this weekend in Tucson, Arizona, and all 4 were sold out, and I got 2 standing ovations. And like, that's just amazing. I couldn't pay for that kind of emotion, the feeling, you know what I mean? And yet I'm getting it. But I also know you got to work for it. You can't, it's not going to always happen. You're not, you know, you may go up there, you know, comics may go up on stage cocky, thinking, oh, I'm going to kill. And guess what? It's just not your night. You know, the audience is weird. You were off. Your timing was bad. It's just like being an athlete. You're just like, I didn't know. So I never take it for granted. I always, you know, I always feel I'll feel confident, but I'm like, I know I still have to work for it, and I still have to maintain it.
I mean, yeah, I just, you mentioned being an athlete, and used to be a champion boxer, and you have to be really disciplined to be a boxer. What type of discipline from boxing did you carry over to stand-up comedy to make you the powerhouse comedic talent that you are today?
All of it, you know, all of it. It's one of the things I learned from boxing was, as an amateur, I would stay in the gym after the amateurs left, and I would watch the pros train. And I would watch them train, and I would notice there was a difference between them. There was a polish. There was a. It was just like night and day. And I would, after a while, I would get to spar with the pros, and they would kick my butt, but I would still, learn. And then when I was sparring with the amateurs, I would kick their butt because I'm learning from professionals. And when I first started doing stand up, I would do the same thing. I would do my open mics, and then I would always go to the club when the pro comedians were there. I mean, and I would watch them, and I would talk to them and ask questions, and I would see the difference. And even though I didn't understand what the differences were yet, I would see the difference, and I would try to, duplicate that, and try to, if I would see a comic wearing a blazer with its sleeves rolled up, I'm like, oh, I like the way that looks. I'm going to do that. I would like, the only thing it took me probably about 10 years to do is get really comfortable is riffing with the audience. It took me about 10 years to really get that. Now I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do, but it took me about 10 years to really feel comfortable just knowing that I'll make up a whole set if I have to, just talking to the audience.
Oh, I mean, you're comfortable now, but those first 10 years where you weren't comfortable, and like, let's just say you got like a heckler or something, would you feel like disrespected? Like, how dare you interrupt me? And I don't want to talk to you. I'm doing my set. Or would you just, or would that lead into the riffing, or how did the riffing begin? Because, sorry.
Yeah, sometimes yes and no. I mean, the thing is, if you don't have that skill to hit back, you're disadvantaged. It's like it's like going back to boxing. It's like, man, this guy keeps throwing a left hook, but I never trained on how to block that left hook, so I keep getting hit with it over and over again. So it didn't make me. I didn't get mad at the audience. I got mad at myself for not knowing how to handle it. And I would just tell myself, okay, I got to do better next time. I got to do better next time. And it's so now I'm ready for almost anything. And even if I'm not, it doesn't matter. I'll figure out my way around it. And that's and that's just confidence of, I've been doing this for so long that I'll know I'll figure out a way. I'll get there.
Okay. I mean, that's because of all the years of experience, and you're a master at what you do. And but with the riffing, I notice that not a lot, but there's like a significant amount of comedians that will talk down to you if you even dare to riff on stage. Like, how dare you have a good time in spur of the moment and not use your written material that is polished and repeated.
Well, yeah, those comedians are the ones that can't do it. That's why they're looking down at you, because they don't have that skill. So they're like, oh, I can't believe you're doing that. I can't believe you're using punchlines. What? How dare you use punchlines? How dare you make the audience laugh? You should be an alternative comic like me and just have them think. Like,
yeah. How dare you get those 2 standing ovations this weekend?
Yeah, but misery loves company, man, and comics that are bitter and insecure look down at other comics in their same level who are doing better. They'll never look down at somebody who's already up there, because that doesn't even make sense. But if you're in the same level and you're doing a little better, they're gonna look down. But if you're doing worse, they'll never look down. They're like, oh, that's okay. He's all right.
Yeah, I don't know, like with the whole riffing thing and because everybody has a different philosophy. And like a few years back, my mentor, who shall remain nameless because I don't want to embarrass this person, we did a show at the Fox Theater in Salinas. And if you know anything about Salinas, it's going to be all Mexican. All Mexican.
Yeah, I've done that theater. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a rite of passage. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's also like, for me, that was more like, I performed for a sold out crowd, and there was like 500 people there, and there was 498 Mexicans. And I swear to God, there was 2 black guys and maybe 2 Chinese, but they were probably Mexican too. So they count as Mexicans. And so I'm doing this show, and out of nowhere, I was in the moment, and I started speaking Spanglish and then telling jokes in Spanish, and I got a standing ovation. Nice. And my mentor on the ride back, because I'm like a little puppy with my tail wagging around, like, how did I do? Hey, dude, you speaking Spanish is hack. And I'm like, what? I was like, dude, speaking any language is a skill.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
not
read
hack.
I read the crowds. How is it hacked? No, dude, that's an English show, bro. And I'm like, okay, dude, come on. First, there's no rules unless somebody said no Spanish or like no
Right.
curse words or no, and there's certain rules with everything, and so you perform a lot of places where sometimes you're required to be clean, like on cruise ships. And my question is, how does a dirty comedian transition to be a clean comic?
Um, Easy. You just have to start, try to change subjects. Because, for instance, if you're talking about, you know, fucking and sucking and finger banging and whatever, you're gonna tend to want to curse because that's what you're talking about. So start if you start writing material about subjects that aren't adult, then you'll start working cleaner, and you just try to work cleaner. And even if you have a subject that's adultish, you don't have to curse. Um, I can do my whole act clean, but it's still adultish. But I can do the whole act clean. So it's only that my normal life when I'm talking with my friend, when I'm on stage, I feel like I'm just hanging out with friends. So when I'm hanging out with friends, I'll curse because that's just the way I talk, right? But like if I'm hanging out with my friend's parents, I probably won't curse. So it's the same thing. But I always tell every comic, the cleaner you write, the better you'll do, and the more work you'll get, and the better writer I think you'll become. So it's always good to have all the skills. Sometimes if you're doing a bar and the bar is kind of ghetto, and you got to get dirty with them, you got to go, you got to get in the mud with them. But if you're doing a corporate gig or a cruise ship or something, you need to be a lot more cleaner, and you kind of just read the audience.
Yeah, because like I don't know, I asked different clean comics, or comics that can do clean this very question. It's like, is it true? Like one of my jokes is that I look like a proud Samoan lesbian woman with a beard. That's clean.
Hey,
But if I say
yeah,
I make love to my wife like an animal, and that animal is an elephant, then that's not clean because I'm talking about sex, but I'm implying it, but never use the word sex.
right. Well, the joke is still that is a clean joke, but it's just more adult.
Okay,
That
okay,
joke is clean. I
okay.
mean, it's like if you say I make love to my wife is clean. If you say I fuck my wife is dirty. So, you know what I mean?
Oh no, because it's just sometimes it's like, okay, I guess that's the difference between clean and squeaky clean, with
Yeah,
innuendo.
PG. You don't want to have. You don't want to talk about having sex with your wife. I gotta help my dog 1 second. You can keep talking because I can
Yeah,
hear you.
no
But
problem.
my dog's ball it went underneath something, so I just gotta get
Oh
it.
yeah, no, that's totally cool. I also have a dog too, so I totally understand the importance of taking care of your dog before your dog freaks out and has a mini panic attack. And I don't know about you, Joey, but I have a small dog.
Yeah.
Okay, and that looks kind of like a medium dog,
Uh-huh.
but my small dog has
Yeah.
reverse sneezes. And when it has anxiety attacks, so it's like, and I'm like, oh my God, is my dog dying? You literally have to put your fingers in its nostrils, and then
Oh wow.
it just sucks the whatever it has. Like they have like the drip that they can't swallow since they don't have the same nasal passage
Yeah.
as we. It's crazy. I'm like, I don't even know, but but yeah, no, I mean, just with the clean comment again, something, it's like uh, I've heard, and like I know this isn't true because I've written clean comedy since I've heard this, but I've heard from a lot of people, once you're a dirty comic, you can't go back.
No,
There's
it's
no,
not. That's not.
they're
That's
just
not true.
they just can't do it, right? That's just, or
Yeah, they just
yeah.
can't do it.
So okay, I'm just trying to figure people out and like what they're, I don't know. There just seems to be like a lot of like uh bitterness and jealousy or whatever that's going on. I mean, like within every
It's,
situation. But
it's just the subjects. It's just the subjects. Like when it's easy when you're a newer comic. A lot of your jokes are going to be blue. They're going to be like all about sex and about this and about that, and because it's funny. There's a lot of funny things about that, but it's harder to write. It's harder to write it. It's not. It's harder. It just takes a little more thought to write a joke that's clean. But there's like Brian Regan. There's comics like that who are completely squeaky clean and are absolutely hilarious. So if there are any comics that are out there that are listening, especially newer comics, and you're like, I want to work clean, but I really don't know how and write clean, that's okay. What you do is watch comics like that, watch comics that are really good comics who are clean, and just watch and get the vibe and let it let it stimulate. If they're talking about a cute story about their kids, like I have two stories. I have a story about my two sons, and I talk about how they're doing great, and they're doing this, and they're doing that, and they're doing this, and I go, because and I say, because every parent wants their children to do better than them. I go, but then I'm like, not that good, because they're making me look bad, these kids. So it's that's a clean joke, and it's just, it just depends. So if you pick a topic like, your kids, you're probably going to write cleaner stuff, because it's kind of just lends yourself that way. But if you're writing jokes about sex, you're going to write dirtier stuff because it lends itself that way. So, just do that. Just like any athlete or any other artist, push yourself to another limit. If you're an artist who only uses 3 colors, try 4 colors next time, try 5 colors. If you're an athlete that only trains twice a week, try 3, 4, 5 times a week. You always push yourself to do something you can't. Like when I started working on cruise ships, it was very difficult for me because of the system that they have. And then I figured it out. It took me a week or two, and I figured it out, and I feel real confident now, but it was something new for me. And it was, and it was just like, anytime you do something new, it's awkward because we're not used to it. And that's for anybody. That's just not comedians. That's any artist, any person. If you've got a new job and you're working on something, it's your job that you've never really done before, you're not going to feel comfortable at the beginning. You're going to be awkward, but then you'll pick it up and you'll get it. And that's just like anything else. Don't ever be afraid as a comedian. Don't ever be afraid to push to the limits and try to do something else, because that's what's going to make you grow and make you be a better comic. And at the end of the day, you have more tools in your toolbox than you did before.
Wow. I mean, that's awesome, because that gives me a lot of hope. So that should give everybody a lot of hope, because that's a really great way of going about utilizing your skill set and adding to your skill set. So I think that's really brilliant. I think that's really great advice, and thank you for sharing that, dude. That's I'm like,
and
go ahead.
And it doesn't matter if you're a brand new open micer or if you're Dave Chappelle. You always learn. And you always learn something new. You always, evolve. There's always another plateau and another plateau and another plateau. And that's the beautiful thing about this art. Like I'll do a joke that I've actually written maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but I do it completely different now because I'm a better comic now. So I know how to do the joke even better and deeper and heavier and make it funnier. Before I only knew how to do this little bit of the joke, but now I know how to make the joke look like this. And it's just part of growth, part of being a comedian, doing something for a really long time and growing.
Well, I think part of growing is like taking those gigs that, you just got to take to get better. And, there's sometimes, people get a bad rap for being a quote road comic. And so I don't think that's bad, because, they're getting work, they're doing what they need to do. Everybody's journey is different. But
the only people that give road comics bad is people that don't work the road, because nobody hires them. That's the only reason, So which I never understood that. It's like, if you can't do something somebody else can and you want to do it, try to do it. Like, if I wanted to work the road, I wouldn't make fun of road comics, because that's just going to stunt my growth, right? It's going to prevent me from working on the road, because I'm not going to try to look for ways to get on the road. If I want to work the road, I'm going to ask them, hey, how did you work on the road? Who'd you talk to? Do you mind if I get those phone numbers? Do you mind if I get the email? Do you mind, what do you recommend for me to do? Instead of, but do that. But that takes work. So what they do is like, oh, the road sucks. You should just keep doing the coffee house here for the next 12 years. And then one day Steven Spielberg's going to come in and give you a job in ET2. You know what I mean? Really, that's not the way it works, man. You gotta, it's even the Bible says God helps those who help themselves. That means you got to get yourself there, and then he'll push you to the edge, it takes you across the goal line. But it's always people who can't do something that put down the other people who are doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, because people complain about their either the shows being light, or they're being hicks or rednecks or Mormon or dry county, or it's during the day, any excuse, right? I mean, for me, where I was going at, when I've done the road, it gets really lonely on the road. It gets really like, because you have the excitement of the show, it goes great, and then the show's over and you go back to the room and you're just by yourself with the TV and you're just like, this is bad. Like, I don't know. I mean, like, I like to get on the phone and talk to people, but I was wondering if there's any advice that you'd give to road comics right now that are having trouble right now keeping their sanity.
Yeah, just use it to be productive, man. Write, work on that script that you always wanted to work on. Do research. Maybe get yourself some type of paying gig that you can do online. That way, you're making money during the day, and then you make money at night. Be productive. Go see movies that you would probably never see when you're home. Get to hang out with the other comics. Get to know them. There's so many other things you can do. You can sightsee. You can one of the bad habits I have is I'll go somewhere really nice, but I'll just stay in my room and just chill, right? And I'm like, if I'm somewhere nice, if I'm in Vegas, I should go do Vegas stuff. I should go here, I should go there. So I try to push myself to do more things. But yeah, you're right. The road can be lonely. The road can be boring sometimes. But I personally like it. Some people don't. I like it. I like being away because I have ADD. So I hate being in one place for too long. And I've got every size luggage you could think of for every kind of gig. I've become a really good traveler. I know what to take, what not to take, and all that stuff. But I always forget stuff because I'm a guy.
Of course.
So I'm like, I've got another Walmart run. I got to buy some more of this. Got to buy more shampoo. Got to buy another razor blade. I got to buy this, But it's fun, man. It's fun. It's hard. And I would always be a comedian, even if I was a billionaire. But the goal for every comedian should be where your comedy takes you to a place where you don't have to do comedy if you didn't want to anymore. Meaning it should get you on television. It should get you on a radio show. It should get you as an actor. It should establish you to do other things. Because working the road all the time is not a great insurance policy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's good if you're doing it because you want to, not because you have to. Because it's living paycheck by paycheck, and that's a really scary thing, especially when you get older.
Yeah, and then there's no 401k, retirement fund, vision, dental that I've heard of. And there's like the Illuminati of comedians, which is, I guess, the highest echelon of stand-up, but even beyond celebrity stand. But at any rate, yeah. I have a question. What are your thoughts of English-speaking comedians like Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura learning Spanish so they could perform to Spanish-speaking crowds?
I think that's extremely brave of them. I think that's. I don't even want to. I know Spanish, and I don't want to do Spanish-speaking crowds. So I take my hat off to them. That's brave, and and it's just pushing yourself to another limit, man. If you can do it. I think the craziest thing I ever done, I pushed myself, was I did a all naked comedy show where I was naked and the audience was naked. I did that, and I pushed myself for that. I never wanted to do stand up naked, but I got to say I did it, And what was funny was, I think I knew I was going to do the gig like for 2 months. And I told myself, well, I got to get in shape, and I just can't show up all fat, right? But of course, I never did. So I have a friend who's a Hollywood makeup artist. I just had to do abs on my stomach, like in 300. And it looked really good. It looked really good.
I was going to ask you if you had pictures, but I don't want to know.
I do have a picture of me with my pants on, but my shirt off. I'll send it to you.
Do you have the fake abs?
Good.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
With the fake abs.
Yeah, or put a sensor bar. That's cool. If it's, no, I'm just kidding, man. It's even whatever. I just don't want you getting banned from social media for sharing one of those pics. But
no, look, I had pants on, so I had pants on.
Yeah. Oh well, that's more than I could say about me right now. But yeah, no, because like I really would love to see you do stand up in Spanish. And like, I mean, to the point, I mean, I know you're just like, but like, to be honest with you, I've done it once, also in Salinas, not at the Fox Theater, but it was a really great experience. And a lot of the jokes translate, and then you have to come up with new stories because you can't really translate, you know, when you're doing a play on words or you're saying something witty in
Right.
English, like it doesn't always translate. So I don't know. This wasn't like a big secret plan to convert you to Spanish comedy, but I recently got. I mean, I don't even have a video in Spanish, so I wrote the producer in Spanish to ask him for a spot, and
Oh
he was.
wow.
I got a spot. I don't know when the show. I think it's in like June or July, but it's gonna come up, and I'm really looking forward to it because now I'm gonna have a tape in Spanish. So I'm super
Yeah,
stoked about that.
and you know it's really good because Spanish in the last couple of years, especially last 3 years, I think Spanish comedy before was corny and weird. It was all gimmicky, but now they're doing true proper stand up in Spanish, and that's great, man. And for the comics out there, and I know a few who do it in English and Spanish. God bless them, man. It's another market. You're making more money. You know what I mean? And good for you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's cool too. And I really love that you have a really, really like you have the true heart of a caring comics comic because it's just you're very selfless and you want everybody to grow. You want everybody to make money and you know create their own lane if they're not in a lane already. And I really dig that. And I guess right now I'm like in this like stage where like I could confidently do uh three different 15-minute sets, but I'm not really that confident in doing 45 minutes. So I was gonna ask you, how do you write an hour or how do you write a new hour?
You just keep going. I know it's kind of hard. You just keep going. The first time I ever headlined, I was working at a comedy club, and the comedy club had two clubs, one in Dallas, one in Fort Worth, and one in Arlington. And for some reason, the way it worked was the middle and the headliner work one club, and then the next week they work the other club. But for whatever reason, the next week the headliner wasn't doing it, so they moved me up to headline. I didn't ask for it; they just pushed me to headline, and I was like, "Yeah, I could do it." But I was scared, man. I had half an hour. I had have a good strong half hour, and then the last 15 minutes, man, I just pulled anything out of my ass I could. And, hey, knock knock, who is it? And it was really hard. It's just a timing. It's just a pacing. When I was a boxer, amateur boxers are 3 rounds. And I couldn't understand. I'm like, man, how do these guys fight 10 rounds, 15 rounds, 12 rounds? Oh my God, how do you do it? And the way you do it is you just do it. It's not going to be easy at first to do 45 minutes, right? But you'll start learning it. You'll start picking up the pace. You'll start doing tricks like, okay, I'm going to be slower. I'm going to talk to the audience a little more. I'm going to be doing this. And you learn how to stretch your material. And then you'll start writing new material and you start putting it in. And then those gaps and those spaces that you were trying to, finagle your way through, you'll start filling them in with actual material. And then before you know it, it'll just be easy. You're just like, I got it. I can just keep talking and I'll have enough of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember there used to be a time where like, okay, you're doing 8 to 10 minutes, and I'm like, oh my God, what happens if I forget my material? And then like right now, it's just like you're doing 15. I'm like okay, like, like, is it like a tight 15, or are you gonna? Is it cool if I go a little over, or is it cool
Right.
if you light me at 15 and I tell a 5-minute joke right then? I mean, not to be a jerk. It's just I'm just trying to get in that extra time,
Right.
if I can, especially like if it's a smaller show. But if there's like 15 comics on the lineup, I'm not going to say that. Or if the headliner is doing 45 minutes, I'm not going to do that as the host,
It's funny.
unless asked to. I'm sorry.
The more experience you get, the less time you want to do. Like I'll go do a spot. I'm like, hey man, when they go, how much time do you want to do? I'm like, actually none. If you give me my paycheck and I can leave, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not, I don't. It's ridiculous how much time I want to do. I'm like nothing. I don't. I just want to go home now. Give me the money, But yeah. So.
Oh my God. Oh man.
But,
It's just, yeah, no, I mean, you've been doing it for years. Everything is polished, and I mean, it's just like like how do you? I ask myself this question, like, how do guys that don't go to open mics that have like showcases or arenas every night, like, how do they try out new jokes? They just
Um,
say them confidently, like they believe in them and they're excited about it. You have to be excited about it.
yeah, but you also do it on the road. You also do it on those guys. They do in arenas, but you don't know in between the arenas they're doing a lot of clubs, right? They're doing a lot of spots, and also they have the experience to of the timing. They just got it. They got it. They'll remember it, and it's easier for me to remember a new joke than it is for me to remember an older joke. So, like when I'm on stage, I tend to do my newer jokes first because I want to get them out and I want to, I just want to see how they work really quick. Um, but so yeah, everybody has their own timing, but it's like Russell Peters works arenas all the time, but he does a lot of clubs in between that people don't, realize necessarily, right? He goes to these small cities, working these small clubs, and he's still working that material. So when he gets to an arena, he's got it polished and he's ready to go. But even if he wasn't doing it, he's still so polished that he'll deliver new material as though he's done it forever.
Yeah, and it's like that trick that's just like, oh my god. I mean, it's like so. It looks so effortlessly. It looks like they're just naturally hilarious, and um, it's just really awesome. I love seeing it. Like, I mean, anytime that I say a joke that, I mean, I was in bed with my wife and I was just like, oh my god, I can make an elephant sound because I have a deviated septum. What happens if I
Right.
just say I fuck my wife like elephants? And like, we started laughing in bed, and I did it at a showcase that night. I didn't have a chance to go to an open mic or try it out, but I was so happy and excited about it. And I was just remembering just being in bed with my wife, and she doesn't, and I get nervous when she comes to my shows because there's a lot of pressure when my wife's there. I'm more nervous about her than like a club manager, because I gotta go home with her, and I don't want to, be in that car with her and be like, "Yeah, you do that every night if I don't have a great set." It's like, really? Yeah. Are you even really doing No, no. But I mean, it's just I get self conscious. I mean, I got to open for the late John Witherspoon, who's really really cool guy, really awesome. But they asked me on Sunday. They're like, "Hey, if you have any guests that you want to get in, we could comp the ticket." So I put an announcement on Facebook, and my wife saw like, "Oh, I'm gonna invite Sarah and Kirsten and Rob and Brian." And I'm like, "Hey, babe, that wasn't for you. That was for like people that'll come to the show. This isn't for you and your girlfriends to have a date night because I'm working." Like, well, why are you trying to have a date night with me there? But I mean, in reality, I was just really like, there's more pressure when my wife's there. It's just, I
Yeah,
don't know why. It's just like psychologically, like if I fail in front of her, it's a lot worse. But sometimes, I mean, I've had some of my best sets when she's there. I mean, I made this
yeah.
cholo guy blush, and when you get those really scary cholo guys, like it's like one of those. Like I was like, okay, this is cool. I was like really in the moment and doing crowd work, and I really made the headliner work. It was like really cool. But like, yeah, so I'm not complaining about my wife. She's awesome. I love her. She's great. But I was just wanted to share that. What are some of your fondest or happiest memories during your stand-up comedy career?
Man, so many. It's hard to. The first time I ever got a standing ovation, I was opening for Gabe Kaplan from Welcome Back, Kotter, and I remember after have after finishing my set, I turned behind me to grab the mic stand, and I put it, to put it in front of me, put the mic back in, and everybody was standing, and it was the first time I ever saw that, and it was a long time ago. So I remember calling my mom on a payphone to tell her, and you know,
Oh,
and
that's beautiful,
yeah,
man.
and
Oh my God.
that was a great feeling. But I I appreciate it all, man. I appreciate the good sets. I don't like the bad sets, but I appreciate them because I try to learn from them. I'm like, okay, what can I do better next time? The boxer in me comes out and wants a rematch. And the boxer in me wants to fight the guy, the audience, one more time, and try to beat it again. So but I've get to travel around the world. I remember the first time I ever traveled out of the country. I went to Japan to entertain the troops, and Japan was someplace I always wanted to go. And I remember being on the plane thinking to myself in awe, going, "Oh my God, I'm flying to Japan to tell jokes." I'm like, "Oh my God." But I think also another, and I don't know if I told you this story last time we spoke, but um, when I first started doing stand up, I was homeless, man. I was living in a car. I was donating plasma for money.
You did
Um,
not, you did not say that at all.
okay,
I would have asked about that
yeah,
because
and
wow.
so during that time, I remember Paul Rodriguez was performing at a theater, not at a comedy club, at a theater, and I was like, I never borrowed money from friends, but I had to see him. So I remember I borrowed $12.50 from a friend to go see Paul Rodriguez, and I went to this theater. It was a two tier theater, and I sat all the way in the back. And I remember watching him, and I was in awe. It was like watching a god. He was so funny, and it was amazing to see it. I'm like, this guy's not performing for 200 people; he's performing for 2,000 people. And I remember looking at him, and I remember telling myself two things. I said, one day I'm going to open for him, and one day I'm going to do comedy on this theater, in this theater. 4 years later, I opened for him at that theater.
Oh
And
my God.
yeah, and I remember I stepped out on stage, and I looked in the back where I was, and I teared up. I was like a pussy. I was just like, and and it was
I'm about to
so
start crying. You're like, I'm just a pussy.
no, but it felt good. It was just like I remember telling myself, thinking to myself, "Oh my God, I said this. I'm doing both things I said at the exact same time," and it was only 4 years later. And it just humbles you. It doesn't see that's the difference I think with some people. Sometimes people you take something like that and it makes somebody cocky, but you take something like that, it also makes somebody humble. So it just depends on the kind of person. And it's like those are the things that always make me humble, not ever think anymore. I'm just very thankful. I'm the kind of person that if someone asks for something from me, whether it be money or whether it be a favor or whatever, and I can do it, I thank God at the end and go, thank you, Lord, for letting me have money in my bank account to help this person with what they needed. I'm never like, oh God damn it, this guy's always asking me for something. But it's more like I'm lucky. I'm very thankful that I was in that position that I could help somebody. So it's kind of, everything in life is perspective, man. Everything in life is how you look at it and how you handle it. And if you look at things better and you handle things better, and you know, you have a better life. And not to say that I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. I have a lot of regrets. I don't believe when people say I don't have any regrets. Bull crap. I have a lot of regrets. I have a lot of demons that I've fought throughout my life. I've had a lot of issues, that I wish I didn't have, and every day I work on them more and more and more and more, and try to be a better human being. And the older I've gotten, the easier it is to be a better human being, and I'm glad. So you kind of just every day's a battle, man. Every day's a battle, and you just have to try to win as many of those battles as you can till the end.
I mean, I just love it, and I love your optimism and your just overall love, man. Because like even before I didn't even like get a proper introduction in with you, and as soon as I got off stage, you shook my hand like you were my like uncle, and you were like, "Hey, funny stuff." And I was like, oh my God. I started like getting all giddy. I was like, you watched my set? And then I'm like, oh my God, you watched my set? Because like I was like, it was like one of those things where like I just felt it. I felt the love, and you were just so like awesome and cool, and like I don't know. Sometimes like the headliner's like, oh, I must be in the green room and nobody else will be in there, and I don't want to listen to the show, and I'm just gonna go out there and do my thing. And if anybody asks me if I watch their set, then I'm gonna really give it to them for. And it's just like, dude, why are you being so arrogant? You're just a local headliner, not you know.
No, you're right. I love comedians. I've always loved comedians ever since, even before I was a comedian, and I still love comedians to this very day, and I love them all. And I think it doesn't matter to me if they're new or old. It matters to me, that they're funny or not, right? And then obviously a big thing is if they're cool or not. If someone's an asshole or a jerk, I don't even pay attention to them, because it's like I no matter what profession I'm in, I'm not going to pay attention to an asshole. But if they seem that they're cool or whatever, to me, all comedians are my peers. We may be working different gigs, we may be doing different spots on a show, we may be making different money, but we're all peers. We're all doing the same thing, and it's and I love to see a comic that surprises me, like that go, oh wow, that person was really funny, like that stuck out on me, and it was just, and that night it was really with everybody was really funny, and I was just really impressed that everybody on a small little show like that was funny. Usually it's not. Usually it feels like a bringer show, and everybody's just horrible, and they're doing their little corny jokes, and you're like, all right, then you gotta let me go up on stage, and hopefully the audience forgets there's crappy comics, and then remember, or let me try to be funny. But it wasn't. It was perfect. Everybody was funny, and I'm like, oh, this is easy, because I'm a kind of comic that wants to follow funny guys. I don't want to follow comics that aren't funny, because that's harder for me. So it's easier for me to follow somebody who's funnier, because then you just jump on the wave and be funny. I know I'm funny. But how to use that funny depends on, a lot of things. So it just, so I like that you were great. You were a really funny comic that night. I remember, and I was really impressed. And
oh, thanks. Oh, hell yeah. You're like, yeah, I ain't gonna do no podcast of some really shitty comic. I'm just kidding. But no, it was just like, no, it was like one of those times where everyone did really great, but then you went up there and you like murdered, like extra murdered. It was really, really great. Like it was. Yeah,
it was like a bullfight. It was like a bullfight. You guys went there, you stuck the little swords in them for a little bit. Then I just had to put my big sword in there, even though I hate animal brutality, and I will never watch a bullfight in person in my life, or on TV. I think it's cruel. I would never watch that.
Yeah, I never liked bullfighting. I always thought it was gross, and I was just like, oh my god, is that where we get steak from? This is horrible. I really thought that, that was just an ignorant kid, but what's it called? Yeah, I'm all over the place with these questions. Who are some of your comedic influences growing up?
The usuals, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, Red Fox, George Carlin, Freddie Prinze. But then I also like things like National Lampoon, Saturday Night Live. I love sketches. I love sketch comedy. Anything that was funny. My next door neighbor that would fall all the time. I'm like, look. I'm like whatever made me laugh. I just love. I had a sense of humor. I used to love hanging out with like my gay friend, because I just thought he was hilarious. He was so flamboyantly gay that it was just like, I'm like, oh my god, that's awesome. Like I wish I could do that. It was just, yeah, it was just, I just, anything that was funny, I love.
Yeah, like especially like when you see like a gay guy who has the same body type as me, who's dressing like a badass hoochie mama, and I'm just like, oh my god, you're not even wearing a bra, you can see everything. Like holy shit, like yeah. That's bravery right there, and it's just like, yeah. you're so brave going on stage. No, that's brave. I'm just kidding, but going on stage is very. It's nerve-wracking. I can't be nerve-wracking at time, but then you get comfortable on stage, and I've gotten so comfortable now I sit on stage, but now I'm kind of nervous. Like, is this stage? I mean, I'm sorry. Is this stool strong enough to support me, or am I going to make an ass of myself and possibly cancel the show? Because that would be the worst. That'd be the worst. Like, imagine you're like getting ready to go up, and then one of the openers just breaks the stool and has to be I don't know, taken out by an ambulance and paramedics and stuff. That would, really mess up the show.
That would be funny. That would be great.
And of course, you just wait for them to clear me out, and it's like, okay, you're a headliner, Joey Medina. You're just like, wasn't that fat fuck funny?
I'll be like, I'm gonna take you on the road, but you have to do that every single time now. You need to fall every single time.
Oh my god, that would be the worst gig on the planet, because I have a horrible back. So that would not. I mean, unless it was like padded, we could work it out. We could work it out. But what was I going to ask you? This is I have a couple more questions because I want to be respectful of your time. Otherwise, I'll have you here for hours with my Mexican goodbyes. We're like, hey, homie, you remember back in 1992? You're like, we just met. I'm like, I know, but remember back in 1990? But you're involved in many aspects of the entertainment business. You're an actor, you're a director, you're a screenwriter. You're obviously stand-up comedian. You're an overall good guy. What advice would you have for anyone new to Los Angeles or is thinking about moving to LA?
Um, I would just say try to prepare as much as you can. Try to make some trips here first. Try to make some, connections with other comics, with comedy clubs. Try to, like anything else in life, you need to prepare for it, right? If you just show up, it's not going to happen. I've seen a lot of comics move to LA and, a month later move back home. So just prepare, try to make as many connections, try to do it. But if you're going to be in show business, this is kind of where you want to be. If you're going to be in acting or making films or, anything like that, this is the place you want to be. And just, but just plan it as best you can and just work on your act as much as possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah, that's the one regret I have. I wish I would have networked more before moving. I tried to network a little bit, but then the pandemic happened. And then during the pandemic, we moved down here, which was like the worst thing ever. It's like, oh, wait, you don't have any TV credits. You're not a celebrity and you didn't go viral on TikTok. Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, we're not really that interested in you. Oh, okay. That's yeah. We don't care about your video. You didn't go viral. So because if you went viral, you have all the followers. And if you announce your show, they'll all come. But then they're giving away all these like free tickets for all these TikTok sensations that whatever. Right. I ain't talking shit, but it's just it happens. And you put all your eggs in one basket, and sometimes you get burned, and on all aspects.
But this is what you got to do. You got to work. You have to, if you're a boxer, right? You just don't hit the bag. You also hit the speed bag. You hit the double M bag. You jump rope. You run. You eat better. You do a lot of things so you can be a complete person. So a complete athlete. That's what you need to do as a comic. The most important thing is you got to work on that act because and this is generally speaking, because as a comic, you want to be ready. So when somehow the door of opportunity knocks on your door, or opportunity knocks on your door, you have the skills to go, yeah, I deserve to be in this spot. That's the most important thing. But then now you have to put yourself in that spot. You have to network more. You've got to try to showcase more. You can do festivals. You can do different things and hang out with at top clubs, hang out with really established comics, try to pick up from them as much as you can. The more things you do to help your career, the faster you'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And asking, it's because there's so much rejection with stand-up. You just one day I sent out 128 booking requests within like a 30-hour span. I got 12 responses and I got 4 bookings, and someone's like, dude, that's great. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Compared to the Bay, this would be like non-existent. But right. Of course it's a different market down here, but of course also, sorry.
But then you have to learn, okay, how could I make those how can I make those those emails better? How can I do it even better? How can I do that? Can I make them wittier? How am my emails going to stick out from other people? What's secret word can I use? Can I go, for instance, if hey, I was talking to so-and-so who, if so-and-so is good with them, and he told me I should give you a call. That's going to make you stand out versus somebody who just goes, hey, I'm some random guy giving you a call, right? So it's just, you work it, but hey man, getting 4, if you didn't send those 128 out, you wouldn't have gotten those 4. Right. So that is good. That really is good. And what you do is now you have to just, okay, how can I get more next time? And just keep working on it and keep working on it and keep working on it. And then once you get 4, you have to keep the 4. So you have to have a good relationship with those bookers. You gotta do a good job. You gotta be fun to work with. You gotta be good to work with. You don't want to be a pain in the ass. You want to be helpful. You always want to stand out and be the kind of person that they want to work with.
That's all great advice, especially the standing out with the email, because especially if you're not I don't know if you don't have any type of credits whatsoever, and it's just like you're pretty much cold calling. It's like, hi, are you the man of the are you the head of the household? Do you make
Exactly.
between the average income? What best describes your income or salary cap? It's just like, oh, who the hell are you? They're just gonna hang up on you. Don't give a shit about you wanting to do their club or anything. So it's just yeah. And then sometimes they don't answer, and you can send it like whatever. Or sometimes you send it to the wrong email. That was 2 emails ago, and they changed the company name, and that happened recently with email for the improv is to change to Levity Live, then to something else, and back to Levity Live. And I'm like, okay. Or no, back to improv. So that's improv. But yeah, last couple questions. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I love it when comedians share stories about Marilyn Martinez. And I was wondering if there's any stories you can share about her.
Marilyn Martinez is, what can I say? I love Marilyn. Marilyn Martinez was, for people that don't know her, she's a very, very funny comedian who passed away way before her time. She was great. I worked the road with her a lot. She was the kind of person, like, if you ever had a secret, you don't tell Marilyn. Or if you had something you want the world to know, tell Marilyn. But but she was hilarious. She was very unique. She was very different. There was nobody that disliked her, I don't think. You know, she was I remember one time we did a gig where I actually did the gig in drag. And I did, yeah, and Marilyn and I we shared the same hotel room in the same bed together. And it was hilarious, man. I remember being in the bed with Marilyn, I just took off all my makeup and everything, and her and I were just cracking up all night long and just making each other crack up. I got 1,000 stories with Marilyn, but the most important thing about Marilyn was she was a great human being. She's an amazingly funny human being too. She wasn't a funny female. She was just a funny comedian. And yeah, I don't think there's anybody in the world that can say anything bad about her. You know, and one of these days I'll see her up there again.
Oh man, she was awesome, and she's my mom's favorite comedian.
Oh, nice.
So that was just like, and I like, she just really liked her. So that was just, I don't know, it was really just struck home with me. Like, I just like hearing good things about her. I never met her, so it's just like I like experiencing this vicariously through you, and just with all your emotion and everything.
For those of you that they're listening that don't know her, if you imagine a female Joey Diaz, that was Marilyn.
Oh my God. Okay. She was all due respect to Coco, but she was a lot better looking than Joey.
Yeah, but it was because Joey and her had that same attitude. They didn't give a shit. They said what they wanted to say. They were hilarious. They're both comics. Joey is a comics comic. Marilyn was a comics comic. And they were both actually really good friends as well. So you could imagine a female Joey Diaz, that was Marilyn Martinez, and she just called it the way she saw it, and everybody loved her.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wish more people would be genuine like that. Like, some people just fake the funk, and we just need more people that are just truth tellers and just really like, no bullshit people like that. I like that a lot. So I recently co-hosted a podcast where we interviewed you with Keith Reza, and I wanted to know if you had any cool Keith Reza stories.
No, I did his podcast recently, and that was the worst experience I've ever had. No,
That's the clip. I'm just kidding. Oh my God. No, that was a gag question. No. Gee, I was just like, okay, because we're using his Zoom account right now. And he's like, you got to ask him that question. I was like, okay, fine. But I'm going to follow that up with, I have a cool Keith story. We did a bar show, and I saw this guy with glasses that he convinced me was Barry Sobel. And he went up to the guy and he fed him information that I told Keith in public, or I'm sorry, in private. And he called out that experience like, oh yeah, I'm sorry I blocked you on Facebook, dude. It's cool. And I forgive you. I'll unblock you. I just don't have my phone right now. I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Right.
And then like I was just like, oh my god, dude. You just talked to, and like I thought it was Barry Sobel for like an hour and a half, and it was just some random white guy with glasses. So I was just like, you're an asshole. But okay, and this is the last question. Where can the people find you online so they can see you live? Because people need to see you live.
Well,
People,
definitely. Instagram is my social media of choice. Joey Medina Comic at Joey Medina Comic, and so definitely check me out there. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, but it's usually everything I put on Instagram goes to the other two. So Instagram, I love. Also, I have a production website, BronxBoyEntertainment.com, and there you can see the films I've shot, I've directed, and has nothing to do with my stand-up comedy other than the comedy things I've made. You can see my sitcom on there. You can see the shows I've worked on. You can see my drama films that I've shot, the comedy specials I directed. They're all on BronxBoyEntertainment.com.
awesome. We're gonna drop that link in the description to hyperlink it. My brother does it for me, so he's gonna do it. But I don't know how to do all that stuff. But he makes it look super, super like good, so people can get in contact with you very easily. They can follow you on social media. They could go to your shows. Yeah, man. Thank you so much for doing Poppycock podcast. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom with me and your time. And I really hope to work with you in the near future. And thanks a lot for doing my show, man.
Pleasure, brother. Thank you so much. I'll
Thank
see you soon.
brother. Yeah, brother. Thanks a lot, man. Love you, man. And thank you guys for listening. Check us out on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, everywhere you can listen to podcasts. Thank you so much.